Hello dear students, I am your instructor Dr. Alam. In today's lecture, we will discuss the measuring GDP and our subject is macroeconomics 1 Econ 222. As in previous lectures, we have discussed what are the major macroeconomic issues in which we have discussed overall the economic performance of the economy, economic growth, unemployment, inflation, trade deficit, etc. In this particular lecture, the outline is in the first part of this particular lecture, we will define the GDP. What we mean by the GDP, that is GDP stands for the gross domestic product, and how to measure the GDP, how to calculate the GDP. Then there is two terms that is mainly used in the macroeconomics, GDP and what is GNP. What's the difference between GDP and GNP? GDP stands for gross domestic product, while GNP stands for gross national product. Then later on we will discuss the circular flow diagram, how the resources are distributed between farms and household. Then we will discuss what's the difference between nominal GDP and real GDP. Definition of GDP. As we know that GDP stands for the gross domestic product, which means that it is the value of the aggregate production in a country during a year. If you look at this definition, it's a market value. Market value. Whatever produced in economy, the value of that particular item in a particular country economy, for example Pakistan, whatever produced in Pakistan economy, their market value during a year, normally a duration that is used for the measuring of the GDP, for the definition of the GDP, a calendar year. It includes total expenditure on domestically produced final goods and services. It means that whatever produced in a particular economy, ultimately it will be consumed. So it means that total expenditure will be equal to the total production of final goods and services. In the other way, we can define the GDP by the total income earned by domestically located factors of production. It means whatever the resources, for example labor, capital, and the owner of the business. So labor, they are providing their time, so in the form of wages, capital in the form of interest rate, and the owner, the entrepreneur, they earn the profit. So if we combine these things, wages, plus interest rate plus profit, ultimately that will be equal to the market value or the price of the product. Rules for computing GDP. How to measure the GDP when we are saying that to compute the total value of the final goods and services, the national income account uses the market prices. The simple formula for the measuring the GDP, for example, in one particular economy, for simplicity, we are saying that there are two items, apple, and the second item is orange. So if there are two items in an economy, apple and orange, so how to calculate the GDP for these two items? Price of orange plus quantity of orange. Just multiplication, sorry. Price of apple multiplied by quantity of apple plus price of orange multiplied by quantity of orange. Now suppose that if the price of apple is $0.50 while the quantity produced of apple is 4 units, so price of apple multiplied by quantity of apple plus if the price of orange per unit is $1 while the number of quantity that is produced in a particular economy is 3 units of orange, so the total GDP will be equal to whatever the quantity produced multiplied by its price plus the other item quantity multiplied by its price. So in this particular example, the total GDP will be equal to $5. Measuring GDP. There are two main conceptual ways to measure the total economic activity in an economy. What are those two main conceptual ways? Total production or total income. When we measure one, we are also measuring the other. That means that whatever the total value of total production will be equal to the value of the total income. For example, in the previous example, we have calculated the $5 GDP. That was the market value of apple and orange. These apple and orange will be ultimately that is come from the agriculture side. So labor, capital, and owner have provided their resources. So for the labor, wages were paid when capital enters it, while the owner they provide profit. If we combine the wages, the interest rate, and the profit on that, this will be equal to the value of total production. Then the question is raised, why everything that is produced or sold constitutes income for someone? So we have the choice of measuring the value of products produced and sold or the value of income, and each is valid way of measuring the economic activity. There are four factors of production: labor, capital, natural resources, and entrepreneur. For the labor, we are paying wages. On capital, we are paying the interest rate. Natural resources like land, so normally rent or paid for that. In the entrepreneur, profit. So for corresponding categories of income, that is wages, interest, rent, and profit. Government is also one of the agent that makes payments for wages and interest to household in exchange for hiring workers and other factors. There is a one concept that is used, it is transfer payment. When we talked about the government expenditure, like government sector, government employee, government fund, so in the government expenditure case, government will hire workers or other factors. It means the workers will provide their resources in the form of time, and as a result government will pay. But there are certain activities for which the government pay. Payment by the government to individual for which the government does not receive any good and services in return. For example, social security payment to the retired and disabled people, like in our particular economy, cost, scholarships, unemployment insurance payments, that is friends benefits, etc., for which the government paid to those individuals, but as a result there is no services or return from that. In the other point that we discussed, GNP versus GDP. As we know that GNP stands for Gross National Product. It means that it is the market value of all the goods and services produced by the citizen of an economy during a given period of time, normally that is 1 year. That means that whatever the citizens of a particular economy, citizens, for example, Pakistanis. Either they are working here in Pakistan or abroad. Whatever they are produced, being a citizen of Pakistan economy, that will be calculated in the form of GNP. Gross national product often is also the federal government official measure of how much output our economy produces. It also includes foreign remittances. Gross, while on the other side, gross domestic product is the total market value of all goods and services produced within the political boundaries of an economy during a given period of time, normally that is 1 year. That's a government official measure of how much output our economy produces. For example, Pakistan economy. Whatever produced in the territory of the Pakistan economy, irrespective of the citizens of Pakistan, either fathers are working here, but they are using the territory of Pakistan economy. So whatever they have produced, along with all those Pakistani citizens who are working here in the boundaries of Pakistan, that will be included in gross domestic product. Circular flow diagram. Normally, in a two-sector economy, we have two main economic agents, household and firms. Household providing the vectors of production in the form of land, labor, capital, entrepreneur to the firm. As a result, in the firm paid to the vectors of production in the form of wages, rent, interest rate, profit. With those inputs or the factors of production, the firm convert those factors of production into goods and services. Those goods or services are provided to the household for the consumption purposes, and as a result, the household paid payment for the goods and services to the firm. There is also another term that is normally used in macroeconomics, nominal versus real GDP. Nominal GDP is the value of all final goods and services measured at current prices. For example, 2020. Whatever produced in 2020 year in Pakistan, if we are calculating the market value of the all final goods and services in the current year 2020, then it will be called nominal GDP. It can change over time either because there is a change in the amount of goods and services or a change in the price of those goods and services. As we know that when we talked about the measuring of the GDP in the case of nominal GDP, it's a quantity multiplied by its prices. So over a period of time, a change will be occur in the GDP when there is change occurred in the quantity or the amount of goods and services, or a change may occur in the prices of those goods and services. Hence, nominal GDP, if we denote this by Y, will be equal to price into multiplied by small y, where P is the price level while Y is the real output. On the other hand, real GDP is the value of goods and services measured using a constant set of prices. What that means? For example, in the case of Pakistan, if the Federal Bureau of Statistics say that 2014 is our base year, and if we are measuring the GDP for real GDP for 2020, then we will be using the quantity of the goods and services of 2020 multiplied by the price of the goods and services of 2014. So here we are using the set of prices as a constant that is determined by the Federal Bureau of Statistics. So real GDP will be equal to Y is equal to Y divided by P. So here we are keeping the prices as constant. There is one example that now how the nominal GDP is calculated. For example, here are certain items: orange, computers, red tape. The orange output is 4240. Computers output or the quantity is 5 units, while the red tape quantity is 1060. The price of per unit of orange is 1.05 US dollar. The computer price per unit is 2100 dollar, while the red tape per unit price is $1. Then the total expenditure or the total amount of orange quantity multiplied by its price. So 4240 multiplied by 1.05 will be equal to 4452. The computer total expenditure will be 10,500, while the red tape total expenditure will be 1060. So the nominal GDP by sum up all the item expenditure 4452, 10,500 and 1060, so will be equal to 16,012. In the real GDP, the same example can be repeated. Number of items: oranges, computers, red tape. The output of oranges or the total amount that is 4240. 5 unit of computers, red tape unit is 1060. Now the price here we are using the base period. For example, in the previous example we have supposed that 2014 is our base year. So the price in the base year is $1 of the oranges per unit, 2000 dollar of the computers per unit time. The retail price was in base year was $1. So then how to calculate the expenditure? That is the quantity multiplied by price. So the total expenditure on oranges will be equal to 4,240. The total expenditure on the computer will be equal to 10,000 US dollars, while the red tape total expenditure will be 1,060. So the real GDP will be equal to, by combining all the expenditure, 15,030. For practicing at home, there is one question that can be calculated. Compute a nominal and real GDP in each year using the 2001 as base year. So the students should be advised to calculate 2001 nominal GDP, 2002 nominal GDP and real GDP, 2003 nominal GDP and real GDP. There are two goods, good A and good B. These are the prices of good A. This is the price of good B. This is the quantity of good A. This is the quantity of good B in the year 2001. Similarly, this is the price of good A in 2002. This is the price of good B in 2002. This is the quantity. So there are 3 years. 2001, 2002, 2003. So nominal and real GDP will be calculated for that. Other references. This is the book Principles of Macroeconomics, written by these authors, while the book chapter is Income, Spending and GDP, page number 134, 140.